So in this segment, we're going to be talking about something weird going on in the Conservative Party. Really weird. So this one's going to be a bit difficult to explain. So we'll take our time and go through it. But someone, an unelected bureaucrat, has a lot more power than she should have. And if you can figure out who it is, then credit to you. But if you can't, we'll figure out together in a few minutes. So Boris Johnson's union advisor, Oliver Lewis, quits after 2 weeks. So Boris Johnson's main advisor on keeping the UK together has departed, saying his position was made untenable by others within Downing Street. Now, what I thought he meant by that was that something specifically about the union, like keeping Scotland, but no, I was wrong. Oliver Lewis, an ally of the Prime Minister's former Chief Advisor Dominic Cummings, was a key part of the campaign for the UK to leave the EU. So this is one of the top dons from Leave.eu or whatever their group was called. His departure comes as the Scottish National Party is calling for another referendum on independence. That's what I thought this stuff was about, but it's not. Mr. Lewis was confirmed in the role just 2 weeks ago. He replaced Luke Graham, a former Conservative MP. Downing Street has declined to further comment on the story. And if we look at some of the analysis here, aside from the pandemic, protecting the union is one of Boris Johnson's key challenges. And he's already abandoned Northern Ireland. So the SNP demand another referendum, Brexit, blah, blah, blah. Oliver Lewis was appointed head of the union at the start of the month and was seen as an important player in number 10 and who had Mr. Johnson's ear. On his departure, a fortnight later, shows all's not well in Downing Street, far from it. Sources say Mr. Lewis was victim of another power struggle after personal challenges at the heart of government last week. In particular, it seems Mr. Lewis found it hard to work with another special advisor, Henry Newman, who was brought into number 10's operation last week. Mr. Newman is extremely close to the Prime Minister's fiancee, Carrie Symonds, and Carrie Symonds is one who seems to be having a lot of power, the new unelected bureaucrat within Westminster, along with David Frost. Around Westminster, these power struggles are fascinating, though they're not, bruv, because she's not elected. We'll go through the client journalist Robert Peston, Conservative Party spokesperson. ITV political correspondent Robert Peston. So breaking: Oliver Lewis has quit number 10 as head of the union. Union unit. Lewis, a Dominic Cummings ally, felt his position was being made untenable. Lewis worked with Boris Johnson, blah, blah, blah. This is what's being claimed. Oliver Lewis accused by Carrie Symonds and Henry Newman of briefing against Gove over Frost power play. The Frost one is interesting. That's something I need to do more reading into. Prime Minister called Lewis into the office and bollocked him over alleged leaks. Lewis strongly denied the claim and quit. No comment from number 10. So we learned from Simon Finn and Henry Newman were being brought into senior roles in number 10. It's been chaos ever since. Lord Frost nearly quit. Oliver Miles has quit. Others are thinking about quitting. Read our blow for blow account in the Tomorrow's Times. Allies of Newman and Symonds are strongly denying that they had any role in briefing against Oliver Lewis. They say it's total rubbish. Carnage in number 10. Summary of where we are. Oliver Lewis has quit as head of the union. We've covered that. So, the fact is, Boris Johnson's fiancée seems to have way too much power. And we go to client journalist Robert Peston saying that, according to a source, the departure of Oliver Lewis, or Sonic, why has he got the nickname Sonic? He does not deserve that name. Sonic is cool. From Downing Street was because Carrie wants Henry Newman running the union, i.e. the unit charged with keeping Scotland in the UK, which was Lewis's job. This shows that Carrie Symonds is not necessarily calling the shots, but it kind of does. She's had Dominic Cummings kicked out. She had some other dude kicked out who was like boys with Cummings. Now she's had another Dominic Cummings boy kicked out. It very much looks like she's calling the shots, especially with a topic as sensitive as the union. We know how fragile the union has become over the last decade with Brexit and, Boris Johnson abandoning Northern Ireland. So it's very strange that she's suddenly become all-hearing and all-knowing, But the framing of what happened shows that the tension within Downing Street that led to the departure of Cummings and Kane has not gone away. I'm hearing other Downing Street aides are also feeling uneasy with the new order. And the fact is, no one elected Carrie Symonds. No one has elected Carrie Symonds. She should have no say over these people. She could be used for advice as best. She does not have an official role within Westminster, within number 10. She's just his fiancée. And you could say that's misogynistic. I really don't care. Just like Theresa May's husband should have had no input into her day-to-day actions. Neither should Carrie Symonds, because that's not her job. She has not been elected. It's just embarrassing. is widely believed that the unexpected decision to put David Frost in the cabinet was a preemptive move to keep him. He seemed like he's felt uneasy by this as well, judging by the account from the guy from the Times. A Downing Street source responded, Newman not brought in to run the union unit. He's a senior special advisor working for the Prime Minister. This guy Newman seems to be on side with Carrie Symonds, Johnson's fiance, which is just bizarre what's going on here. Which does not mean Lewis felt he had the autonomy he wanted. The Prime Minister can choose their advisors as they wish, but his fiancée should have no input into that. And as long as it's not like a personal feud of him saying something to her which caused problems, she should have no input on this. And same Downing Street source said, not true about Carrie and Newman running union unit, which is denying something I was pretty careful not to say. P.S. In case you missed it, another Downing Street aide promoting by Cummings, Kate Lamb, ex-Goldman, has also left in the past few days. So we've seen Dominic Cummings, top boy, I can't remember what his name is, don't really care. You've had this guy Oliver Lewis, aka Sonic, aka definitely not cool enough to be called Sonic, and then you've got this person here, Kate Lamb, also going. So it looks very much like Carrie Symonds is clearing house here. But the question we need to ask ourselves is, does Carrie Symonds have the authority to make these decisions? And the answer is no. Inquiry into unelected power of Boris Johnson's fiancée Carrie Symonds demanded by Tory group. So a Conservative group has demanded an extraordinary inquiry into the behind-the-scenes power of Boris Johnson's fiancée, branding it cronyism. Carrie Symonds appeared to enjoy huge influence in the hiring and firing of Number 10 staff and in policy making the Bow Group says, despite having no formal role. And the fact is, she should have no formal role. She should have absolutely no input into this. That's the problem. I don't understand why she has any input into this. It's bizarre. Failure to clarify Miss Symonds' positions and authority, and to ensure that Miss Symonds is not and cannot take any action in governing in the United Kingdom potentially has huge hazards for the government, the Conservative Party in the nation, Ben Harris-Quinney, the Bow Group chairman, has said. And, the fact is she should have no input. I don't understand what is going on here. The public takes a very dim view of cronyism, democracy in Britain. It takes a very dim view of cronyism. I mean, the public don't seem to care about the contract, so obviously you're wrong there, buddy. Democracy in Britain is and must always be sacred. I mean, it hasn't when, Vote Leave were doing all sorts of dodgy things and things like that. And no one should be involved in running our country without accountability to the people. So you're going to be real mad about Lord Frost, who's a government minister now. Huh? Are you mad, bro? The call comes as Miss Symonds is believed to have played a part in the shock departure of Oliver Lewis, the head of the Save the Union unit, and she has also she also had in the early ousting of Dominic Cummings. Two of her close friends have recently been appointed to key number 10 roles, senior advisor Henry Newman and Simona Finn, the new deputy chief of staff who hosted Miss Symonds' 30th birthday celebrations. So you can see here that there's a lot of dodgy stuff going on here. Although her depiction as critics as a Lady Macbeth figure has sparked accusations of sexism, no one denies she enjoys significant influence way beyond that of previous partners of prime ministers. And you can see here that Boris Johnson obviously holds her in high regard if he's gotten rid of so many people, especially Dominic Cummings, the man who got him into Downing Street with an 80-seat majority. The fact that he called her Princess Nuts or something like that is just bizarre. Miss Symonds is keen to soften the government's image through the departure of Vote Leave veterans, including Mr. Cummings and Mr. Lewis, and push forward the green agenda as committed environmentalists, which, again, it's not something I'm against. I don't like Cummings. But the thing is, she shouldn't have any influence. This is a matter of principle here. She shouldn't have any influence because she is just the Prime Minister's fiancée. And just like I said before, the same thing with Theresa May's husband, Philip May, or whatever the hell his name was. He should have no influence into government day-to-day running either. Why? Because no one elected him. The Bow Group, which is independent of the party despite its strong conservative link, said Miss Symonds, who is not a special advisor, was therefore not accountable to any minister. That meant she had also not been security vetted, giving her authorization to view privileged government information. I mean, I'm sure she'd be vetted, given that she's the Prime Minister's fiancée. An inquiry should be held in public and hear testimony from current and former Downing Street staff with the release of the records of correspondence, the group said. Consistent reports in the press suggest Miss Symonds is taking a central role to the running of the country without any authority or accountability to do so, Mr. Harris-Quinney said. She has also not been elected. She has not been appointed. She holds no legal or constitutional powers to make decisions relating to who should hold government posts, to be party or to be privileged to information or set the policy direction of the country. The pandemic put on hold Johnson's plan to marry Miss Simmons last year. She gave birth to their son Wilfred just 17 days after the Prime Minister left hospital, blah, blah, blah. And so what we can tell from this story is a lot of Conservatives are getting a bit angsty about, Miss Simmons' growing role here. And they were also anxious about, Dominic Cummings and his kind of growing influence over the Conservative Party as well. And what can we learn from this is the fact is that the Prime Minister's fiance has way too much power within Westminster to the point where she's dictating policy and dictating who should be Boris Johnson's advisors, which is wrong because no one elected her. And I don't understand why he's allowing her to get away with this and why, this is being allowed to happen. This is something that absolutely ministers need to be starting to ask questions of. Why are you allowing the Prime Minister's fiance, who's not elected, to be making government decisions? It doesn't make sense. Realistically, you could argue Arkit should be on her side. She got rid of Dominic Cummings and, Dominic Cummings' cabal. She also is a committed environmentalist, something I obviously care about. But at the same time, this is a matter of principle here. She should not have the power that she has. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.